Could be a foul. Good evening, everyone. We're doing stuff and or things tonight. We've had some casualties. We're rocking on. Also, KR, I did just want to know who you played against, but also now that you said that, I kind of want to know what your starting lineup is. So that's now on my mind of who you actually started. Dude, yeah, I'm a Raider fan, so I have to be in a fantasy league at all times, or I just lose interest in the season after we take a ferocious beating. We'll see what happens. So, yeah, I mean, I can't. I would give some people shit again. I'm a Raider fan, so like, I can't really say a whole lot about anything. I'm just like, I have a football team. However, I wasn't Michigan this weekend, so I mean that was good. Oof. Big Ten did not fare as well. Are you ready for some sports ball? I'm ready to talk about the weekend. Bazam! We've got some stats. We've got some stats. There's things that are we're going to talk about. One, obviously, we're talking about the weekend. Got the Meta Monday stats up. Thanks, Joe, as always. But we also got our Champs Cup pairing. We're playing Miami Dice. So, Champs Cup's in 2 weeks. We've got everybody's got their pairings up. I've got all their lists up. We're going to be looking at that a little bit. So, a D grade draft, never bad. So, but yeah, I'm excited for our pairings to be up, and I'm super psyched to talk about what's going on in the meta right now. And I've got a couple armies that I'm up in the air, not up in the air about, but I kind of feel like I know that they're not sealing the deal because there's multiple armies now that have now really hit the ground. But I think that that's because of there's several gatekeeper armies right now that are putting up big win percentages. But Loudly's coming to the $2 super chat. Football theme this weekend. Go home blue. I can't even give him the fist. That performance versus Texas was fucking miserable. It was no bueno. It was no bueno. That's all I'm saying. But with that being said, we've got some stuff going on. At least your former coach won. Yeah. So like when we look at these stats, man, we've got things like Space Wolves, which aren't sealing the deal as far as event wins, but they're putting up consistent wins. And I really think that Space Wolves are the Thunderwolf Cav army is a very, very good army. I just don't think that army is going to seal the deal. As far as I don't think it can bring it home consistently in 6, 8, 9 game, GTs and ultra and super majors, just because of the fact that that army, if you play it on a heavy table and you've got a lot of trash and you move block the shit out of it, it feels like it stops there, but it can really ruin your day. I don't think so, Joe. I mean, I'm just gonna read from the wall. Deathwing Knight's a problem. The fact that players have flocked to them in the last 2 weeks screams issues to me. Also got bad touch them last weekend. No, for me, no. But I have to always preface that with a lot of those armies like that I can play against because I have just a metric ton of trash. I'm just the trash man. We all know that. So exactly, the go blue streak was broken last week, but it was a big deal when you're looking at the Deathwing Knights. Is again they move at the speed of smell, so you can just wrap them, screen them, do whatever, but they work so well, especially if they play a very defensive mindset. That army is very hard. I don't think you're ever going to get big wins against. Now, I'm obviously really looking from a team tournament perspective, getting ready for Champs Cup right now. Just got back. Also, shout out to Anna and Marie, Wild Hunt, the 5-man was fantastic. Great time. Tons of food as always. Just a well run everything. Such a good time. So thank you for that. So it's a big deal in this because with the Deathwing, I think the Deathwing Knights, I don't think they're a super problem. They come in 5-man units. They still have, they live the 4-up life, but they're not going to mega out OC you. They don't have the ability to go places, but they can play like a really great defensive. And those guys do hit hard as shit. Now, I don't want to do anything to them because you got to figure that, remember, the Dark Angels came out of the booth with a huge swing and a miss. So they got some buffs. Deathwing Knights obviously got the biggest buffs. So I just say ride with it for now because they're not just winning out of control either. You know what I mean? This army isn't sweeping us and just putting up, 58, 59% win percentage and just smoke counting everybody. It has its weaknesses. So I just don't think that army is going to be a huge problem. Is it a good army? Hell yes, it's a good army. There's a ton of teams that are taking it. There's a reason that why. You see it at every tournament on that. So I think that with the Deathwing Knights, I think because they're only 5-man units, you're going to see the 3x5 in every list that can bring them. That's doing well, and I think that's a big deal on that. So I don't think that they're an issue though. I think that they're just good. No, Gladius doesn't give them that all the time, brother. You know what I mean? You give them, one time on that. So I mean, also they're on foot. I can just put somebody in front of them. I'll just wrap that unit and just make it go nowhere. Also, I can just put people right outside the wall that they're in. So there's plays against it. So I just don't think that, I think that they're strong. Don't get me wrong. I think they're very strong. But I just think that there's enough plays against it where I don't think they're an issue. I don't think they're a problem child. I just think they're a good army. So 100% Cal, following up with brother. So, but I think I like them quite a bit. I think it's a grinder army. I also think that it has a lot of, basically when you put in those 3x5, are they probably going to hit that at some point in time? Yes, because GW tends to look at armies and say, is everyone bringing 3 of a thing? And then they almost always nerf that thing. If everyone's bringing it, they will hit it with the nerf pad a little bit. Whether it's a big deal or a little deal, they almost always do. If someone's bringing, if basically the community in one faction is always bringing 3 of something, it gets hit a lot. Jesus. I hate, I'm gonna, you literally hurt my brain, Lyle. Makes me so angry. Never give out individual awards at team tournaments. It's all about the team. Yeah. I mean, Azrael gets stolen all the time. The CPs, I mean, anybody that generates CP is taken very, very much in armies. I mean, you see people that aren't even very good that just generate a CP and people take them. CP is just a value, has a huge value in the game. So I see that continuing on, man. I mean, jump pack intercessors, yeah, for sure. Everybody brings us the cheapest thing. Movement wins games. Jump intercessors are a huge value, and there's not that much value in Marines. Let's be honest here. So it's tough on that because until they fix the main book, because I think the main vanilla Marine book is, because it's tied to all these other armies, it's never going to be. It's either going to be broken or it's not going to be that competitive because you've got all these other books that are tied to it. You need to have individual books. I'm going to get on my soapbox. You got to disconnect these books. Blood Angels have their own book. Dark Angels have their own book. Space Wolves have their own book. And that's just where you get your units, man. As long as you're tying them to one thing, you have to balance it, all of them together. Just make them have different points, man. So it's a big deal. No, I'm just starting. I went on a rant. Joe gave me a thing about Deathwing Knights. So it's a big deal. 100% Space Marines need separate points. So it's just a big deal. Yeah, I mean, just Give everybody separate points in the Marine books. You can do more powerful, more unique things with those books if you unlatch them from the main vanilla book. You know what I mean? You can make things like powerful things. They can do uppy downies and different powers. But man, you have to look at it and go, oh, if you have access to this, then it's going to just be more expensive. You know, if you have a detachment that has, say, uppy downy or things of that nature, then certain units are just going to be, say, Inceptors, be more expensive, and an uppy downy, an army that has a detachment, or not even detachment, a faction, like a Blood Angels, for instance, that has access to that, they'll just cost more. So, exactly, but that was the deal. It used to be when you had a book, that's just what you brought. So I don't think it's that wild to say that. So, you know, hey, I want my BA to play a certain way. I want my DA to play a certain way. I want my Space Force to play a certain way. Well, unfucking shackle them from the vanilla book, and you can give them really cool rules, and they won't be oppressive because it doesn't matter what they are for that book. They cost this much specifically for this book. The game changed in 7th. Yeah, 100%, brother. I just like to see them. You know, you can, that way when you need to nerf something, you can just nerf that particular book, though, as opposed to nerfing all Marines, kind of thing. So, I would love that. Forget, you're worried about your Space was getting hurt, man. You can have, the thing is, Karen, I'm not saying to pull those things out. So I'm not saying that you don't have crossover units. I'm saying you just have literally different points depending on what your army can do with those units. You know what I mean? Again, if you have an uppy downy, everybody's faster. You can give people different powers and abilities. You just have to balance them internally. You know what I mean? They like a random Inceptor or Aggressor or something shouldn't cost the same if it has wildly different abilities. And you can give people wildly different abilities if they're all not tied to one point cost. So that's all. Yeah, I do like the 10th edition core rules quite a bit. I really like this. Since they fixed the edition, I don't even count the edition. I literally do not count the edition until the data slate went live. Period. So yeah, I mean, probably not. So. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I just hope for it. I just feel that's a big solve. My thing is, everybody, I just want their book, their faction, their whatever. I want that thing to be unique. I want it to have its own, have fun powers, abilities, and things of that nature. And you can do that when you can easily buff and or nerf a book by changing just that book, as opposed to going, hey, the 9 other factions, that use that book are also going to be affected if you change the points on this. That's it. It is what it is. All right, let's go back to the wall, or not to the wall, but to the weekend. So Wolves putting up big numbers but not winning defense. Do we need to change anything with Wolves? I don't know. I don't think so, to be honest with you. They're doing fine. I would like to see them get some of their own stuff. I'd like to see Long Fangs not to get pulled out of timeout or whatever. I don't know what they did, so that they're currently in detention, but it's a thing on that. Drukhari, man, I think Drukhari is a great army. A lot of people don't. I think this army has. I'm also obviously partial to my elves, and I love trash armies. But man, this army takes a mountain of trash with a mountain of dark lances, and they have, they can get full rerolls. I mean, full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound on multiple people. They have shooting scoots. They have just a lot of play. I think this is an army that really takes a lot of skill to play it well all the time, because everything's made of paper. And I like armies like that. I like the design of the Drukhari now. I think it sucked when it first came out, and I think the Sky Splinter Assault detachment did a ton. I thought GW did great with that. It's just one of those armies that shit can go down with a quickness, but also sometimes it feels like you have the tools to crush everything. Exactly. Brad likes the time to re-nerf it. Fuck you. So Tell me what's going on with GSC, everybody. Literally, everyone keeps telling me, GSC is the worst faction. They're dead. They're crushed. They suck. And then a couple weeks in a row, we've had them doing well. They get crushed, and then they come back up. Is this an army that everybody's sleeping on, and we just don't have enough GSC players? What? I don't know. I don't know the answer to this because I haven't been playing GSC, to be honest with you. I haven't even seen it. Pedro threw it down at Cherokee. Did really well with it. We've got Innis is playing it at Champs Cup. We had a couple of people doing decent with it. You know what I mean? But everybody says they don't like it. Then I look at the score, the win rates, and it's a thing. The GSC players just built vehicles and spammed them. That is true. That is what Innis's list is. It's literally Rock Riders, trucks. It's just 100 million vehicles. So maybe that's just how you roll it. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's a low play rate, but you have really good players playing it. It's also specialists playing it, people that really like it and have been playing it. So I'll give you that. So, still allergic to the earth. IG, man, this is starting to see more and more play with things, but this thing does so bananas better overseas than it does here. I gotta say that it's got to be the terrain. But they play a lot of WTC. I mean, it's not just UKTC with this. So I think IG terrifies me. So it's crazy on that. I think Blood Angels are bananas broken. I took them to Salt City, and I mean, obviously we have a new book, so it doesn't matter. None of the things that we're playing now make any difference. We're playing with the Dead Name book. So, but man, 30 rerollable Inferno pistols is a hell of a drug. They're just like those guys, bang. Sons of Sanguinius is a wildly good detachment. Unless they get bad matchups on bad boards, Blood Angels will YOLO swag pretty much any army, especially any melee army. They are just good at what they do. The things they're bad against, so they can't play, open tables, having to move around people. That's a real thing, but I think this army is badass. This is Scottish. Brad Bounce's army sweet bakes cookies. I don't know. To be honest with you, RIG really a top 5 faction because numbers are pushing it in it? I mean, the army's got teeth. You know what I mean? That army can put down. You've seen a lot of people bring like a lot of bully grin and shit like that. There's a couple armies. There's an army that we're paired up against. The Miami Dice has an IG army that I'm totally terrified of. It's double Dorn. I think it's 4 Lehmans, 2 tank commanders, 2 regulars. But it's just a shit ton of tempestuous scions. The army's terrifying. Those guys can drop down and do some real damage. So I like that army quite a bit. I'm terrified of playing the army. I just don't know if it's consistent because if you start touching it, things can go bad for it. But man, that army can put the pain down on you. And it has tons of units in it too. If you just spam out catechins and scions and shit like that, that army will just score points. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters. I don't have to kill your entire army. I just have to score more points than you. Grey Knights, I'm not 100% sure how I feel because that army, it's not that I'm performing well and I haven't seen it win a ton of events. They've been doing decent with it. But you see them like really rocking out depending on what they play, it feels like. So like you see a lot of people in runs where they smash a bunch of shit and then they'll have that bad match and they can't finish the deal. But they've been putting up like pretty different numbers on this. They go 50 something, then they're like low 40s, and then they come back up. You're seeing a shit ton of Nemesis Dread Knights, Paladin bricks, Terminator bricks, Drago with stuff, Librarian, bro. Obviously the Librarian bombs are just disgusting. It's a good army. I mean, Uppy Downey is going to win games, period. I think Grey Knights are never going to be bad, to be honest with you. I just think that you can just win games by having an army that can go up and down. I mean, they have one of the most busted strats in the entire game. You come near me, I go into reserve, or I move 6. That's a crazy stratagem. Like, before this edition, if you said that to me, I'd be like, there's no way that's ever going to be a stratagem. That's insanity. And that's just 1 CP, man. That thing's nasty. Sisters doing, or sorry, I don't want to skip Thousand Suns. My least favorite army to play against. Thousand Suns, they had the nerfs when the Data Slate came out. I think they did absolutely nothing. That army still just bangs. It puts out a bananas amount of damage. They can still fall apart if you touch it as soon as they start losing Cabal points. But that army has so much upfront damage. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. It's a big deal on that. So, like, I think that, I mean, Magnus, is Magnus the best Primarch? Like, I probably has been for a while now. Angron's pretty boss. I don't know. Morty needs more attacks. Just period. He needs more damage output. So, Sisters. Sisters is Sisters. I think Sisters are fantastic. They went down a little bit over the weekend. I think that the army's really, really good. To be honest with you, I just it really depends on how many people you see piling in this bad boy that are really, really good, because there's such a difference between, it's kind of like T-Sons in the fact that there's a wide chasm between the really good players and everyone else, because it has so many shenanigans, so many things you can do. There's a lot of intricacies of running Sisters. It's huge. I don't know. I mean, I think that Magnus might be a better force multiplier. That's the only thing. Well, Lion just needs to come down to points. He's just too expensive. I mean, they finally made him go through walls, so nice. And I gave you props earlier. You missed your props. But speaking of the Lion, Dark Angels. Dark Angels are going to keep putting up numbers, man. The army can just grind people out, especially depending on what terrain setups you're playing on. If Dark Angels can just get 2 objectives that are covered, if their home objective and the neutral zone objective are covered by terrain, you're just going to have a hard game, man. They can just sit there, take those forever, can try to contest one of yours and just beat up on the middle. That army's gross, depending on what terrain setup you're setting on. I think it's a big thing. I mean, Lion just needs to come down to points. Lion's rules are fine. It's just, he's just wildly too expensive for what he is. I mean, I would say I would put a crisp video of him. So, yeah. You watching that game? Yeah, I wasn't super excited with that dude 3-inch deep striking a Terminator unit behind me. I was just like, oh, well, this sucks. I guess I'm going to turn around. You know what takes care of Terminators, though? Inferno pistols with full rerolls. Boom! Now, but I think this army's fine. It's very good. I don't think it's OP, but I think it's very, very good. It just has movement issues on that. Necrons are Necrons. I'm surprised we're not seeing more people playing onto Hypercrypt now, that they beat up on Canopy Court so much. But basically, Uppy Downey's just going to win you some games, especially if you can take your opponent into the late game. Everybody can screen for 2 to 3 turns. Man, nobody's screening turns 4 and 5. It's just hard, man. I mean, this army, and it's also perfectly suited to play the secret missions. I mean, you can put the Silent King on the home objective. You can put a unit of mortals, unit of warriors, you know what I mean? Do the battle line, secret mission. Obviously, you can do the 3. They can table you, I guess, if they want to, but like, this is an army that just has options all the time. I've seen a bunch of games with Necrons where they put down huge points and came from almost nothing, and then they slammed down, 90 points at the end of the game because they got a secret mission, and then they scored somewhere between 15 and 21 on, for the primary, getting into 40, and then it's so hard to stop them from getting secondaries with the fact that they can up and downy, but they've also got the single destroyers, they've got death march, deep striking, they've just got a lot of ability to just score the game. So I think that they're going to be fine forever, basically. I think the army's interesting, and I think it's going to continue to win at 50-some%, and people are going to have some really big success with it. So, with Necrons, I think they're good. But it's what I'm saying. It's just uppy down is disgusting. Yeah, I mean, also the Necrons were in the starter set, so everybody's got Necrons. Hell, I don't even play Necrons and I have Necrons. So, because they were half of all the Indominus boxes. So, World Leaders are good. World Leaders have some issues with people being able to push stuff in front of them. But man, that army can do real damage and it can cover serious distance. So, I like him quite a bit. Angron, again, he's the argument for second best primer. Slaps. Also, Angron coming back multiple times in a game does kind of suck when you're playing against it. I'm sure it feels cool when you're playing the World Leaders, but it feels pretty goddamn awful when it keeps coming back. Record 4 times in a game. Semi-recently. Imperial Knights. Knights are Knights. I think they got a decent buff. I still think that they need to redo the fact of the way they do the bondsman else. They go back to the way they were before. But yeah, 100% KR. I agree on that. I do think that the Imperial Knights are just going to get much better. Take Imperial agents with them. It's going to help like a huge amount. So, Death Guard or Death Guard? I think that Death Guard are fantastic for what Death Guard does. And I do think that people have been trying to make Death Guard do non-Death Guard things. And I know that sounds stupid, but like the army grinds. It's great with fights first. It's got double exploding 5s. It's got lethals. You know what I mean? Couple that with Nurglings, and you can make people -2 to hit. In combat, so they can just dominate melee matches. I think people are trying to do too many other things right now with Death Guard. Plague Marines are amazing. Just take a bunch of Plague Marines, focus around it. I love Fetid Blow drones. This army works. AdMech. AdMech can bring some goddamn terrifying shooting with chickens and everything else. I think Sterilizers are a bananas unit. They've got the ability to get you +1 AP, +1 a wound. You can do some shenanigans with this because you can bring an army that has a lot of guns and a lot of guys. It's a very skill-based army on that, but you can bring almost like a horde army with a shit ton of other guns around there. So I think that I think you're going to see this go up, but I don't think there's a shit ton of AdMech players, and it's so goddamn expensive. The army is just so bananas expensive that I don't know if a lot of people are going to be able to adapt to what is good in AdMech. Oh, fuck Towering. Sorry, it was such a bad. Dev Wounds and Towering can beat a tornado of dicks. It's just. Halfway through, you're right, KR. Like and subscribe, it really helps. Also, throw in a comment. It really does help that how many people we get put out to. It really puts us out in the metrics. I don't know how the internet even works, but I just know that if we get like and subscribes and we get some comments, those pop out a billion times more. So, yes. My elves, my Eldari battle host 47%. I think that I'm playing elves at Champs Cup, and I still think they have a ton of play I do think that some of the units are just too expensive for what they are, and I think they're really paying for the sins of the beginning of the edition because they were so goddamn broken for so goddamn long that nobody gives a shit if they just stay in a bad place or continue into a bad place. I don't think anybody's gonna shed a tear for Eldari. So nope, MSU Eldar all day long, baby. I don't think they're gonna catch them at all, KR. I think that we'll see what they do with the new book. I'm excited to see. I'd like to see a more aspect focused Eldari as opposed to what we've gotten almost the entire time, which has been uh, tanks, and some Wraith. I mean, we had shenanigans, but I think that it's been on a very non Eldar. So yeah. So yeah, well, I mean, I really want the Eldari line to be different. It's it's supposed to be the most fast, dexterous ninja moves, doing backflips everywhere, and every single model is static posed. You're just like, ugh, I just hate some of the models. I've got the same spiders that I had 25 years ago. You know what I mean? So, and dude, I want, I think that's when I came to fall in love with the Eldars. It's just the, Psychers and the Aspect Warriors. I want to play tanks. I'll just play guard. You know what I mean? It's just, that's just not my jam. I fell in love with elves being elves, not pointy ears driving tanks around. So, and like the big stuff, I don't need monsters. I mean, the Avatar's cool. Don't get me wrong. He's cool. He's cool. So's the Incarn. But that's not my jam. I want my trash. I want tons of Aspect Warriors. I want dudes. I want dudes doing double ninja flips while throwing stars and hacking off people's heads with a sword. That's what I want. So, CSM has been all over the place. I still think that Cultist Horde is nasty as shit. The Cursed Cultist units, especially if you're playing on heavy tables, man, those things do work. They just pop in the advance and charge and the +1 alone. It's just nasty. Did they hit Renegade Raiders too hard? I think so. I still think it's actually really good. But I do think that they didn't need to bang into it as hard as they did. It didn't feel, to me at least, I didn't feel that it was oppressive at all. It's just like, eh. Oh yeah, I'll 100% throw on my Eldar list. We'll do that. It's soon. Let me go over all the factions and I'll pull it up right now. Yeah, I mean, I think CSM is very close, brother. You know, what I mean, I do think that. I just think that they got like hit a little bit with points that they just really didn't need. Votan, I think Votan's fine. I really like him since the Eagers came out. I'm actually surprised they're not doing better. They've had some weeks where they did really, really well. They've had some weeks where they did meh. I think if they keep winning at this rate, they're just going to stay and no one's going to touch them. I just like to see them have more options. They need a codex is what they need. They just need a bigger line of models. Oh, your favorite Nigerian Sarah. Yeah, you're not wrong. Your talents they get screwed. Tiernans have been up and down. So I think the Tiernans are in a pretty decent spot from where they were. We're taking them and into Champs Cup. I think they're a really good army. I like Invasion. Personally, I really like Invasion Fleet quite a bit right now. The ups to everything is really nice. Oh, Soup's coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. I love the dancing guy too. I understand, and I just think you just need more stuff. Tau do keep plummeting. We'll talk about that. I still have other people to get on. Imperial Agents don't count yet because they're not out wide. Custodes winning events and going down in a win rate. Are they matchup dependent? Or is the army, I think like that army has play, but they keep having they're riding the roller coaster every week, it feels like. So I don't know, man. So it's just, I see the shield host and it works. Venatari do work. Uh, I see a lot of them in teams, but on the board in singles, they've been. I mean, I would never take a bet on how custodes are going to be week to week because it feels like sometimes they're winning at a pretty high rate, sometimes they just go into the shitter and whatever. Uh, Chaos Knights need a little love. They just do. I think that they need a little bit of juice. They're fine-ish, but they just need a little love. I don't know what's happening with Tao, to be honest with you. I felt that Tao would actually. This is one of the. I was apparently super wrong because where the meta has been changing to have more and more infantry and people on the board, and I thought that Tao would, with their huge amount of volume and the ability to put out a ton of guns, would start just winning at a higher rate, and instead their win rate has been dipping crazily. So I am not sure what the fuck is going on there. That's true. Fickle 4-4 up, Pet Life is a hell of a thing. Yeah, I'll give you that. So it's a thing on that. So Tau, I think Tau are fine, to be perfectly honest with you. I can have people yell at me for that, but I think Tau's fine. I don't think it's ridiculously OP. I think there's just less people are playing it and wait to do other things. Great is not just single-handed carrying the Tau. So I don't know on that. It's an army that I think would go. Templars are just suffering from the fact that it's coming from the vanilla book. So I already made my rant about that. We got Marines and Templars just sitting there. My orcs not been doing great. I still love them. I still think they have a lot of play, but I think that you have to play them in 1/2 specific ways to make them work. And you have to be really smart about it. Boy, Randy did really well with them this weekend. I still think the orcs need to have a little bit more shit on the board. I still think the army's really good, but it's going to be really good in like specialist hands right now. You can't just put orcs and hoard them up and go forward. So, best good line army for player placed. Best good line army for player placed is probably Garter Votan, to be perfectly honest with you. Votan's just fast. I mean, Town's fast too. But like, they don't just straight beat you up. So, I don't know. Mark's got done like a Miami receiver. So, the Templar thing, I don't know. I think the thing is nobody's playing it. I think that's the thing is people just moved off them and other things. There's a lot of times when you get an army that was just doing consistently well, which Black Templars will, and you just get things that do what they do, but just slightly better, and you get a lot of people gravitating towards those armies, especially if you see, people that are on stream quite a bit playing something. A lot of people will just bail and go with whatever the other person's playing. So it is what it is. Zoobs, just for you. Dude, the orc thing, I'm not gonna. Orc players say they need help. They've been yelling at me for help, but I still like the army quite a bit. It's just the problem is that orc life is difficult because when you're not in the wog and you can get killed by a stiff breeze, man. Like you're not wearing any armor. Like just shit can just kill you. So if you have a bad turn, you get caught in the open. Army's just going away, man. And we got a ton of shit that's just one wound dudes with a bad save. Like bolter fire. I mean, shit, a couple units of flamers will murder shit in Orc Army. So, I mean, that's just a real thing. I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Space Marines. Hold my beer. We can do better. Uh, maybe on that. It's the thing is that any of the armies can put out a huge volume of fire and be all over the place. Because one of the toughest things when you're playing orcs is if people can hit you first, if they can get angles on you. Orcs really need to reach out and hit you uh, to do good work. So you're constantly hiding, and then going. And if you can't do that, it becomes a real problem. And again, if somebody can get nasty at Overwatch, it just sucks. Big units of sterilizers, big units of flamer, just anything that can flame you on Overwatch. T-Suns, 100%. It's just a big deal on that. You're just like, you walk out with your orcs, you're like, hey, I'd like to try to get to this objective. You're like, how about we hit you 50 times with full rerolls? You're like, oh, that'd be awesome. How about if I take my awesome save? Oh, I don't get one? Sweet. Let's do this. I should have probably not went to this fight, this sci-fi fight wearing a t-shirt. Orcs I'm playing, let me pull it up right now for you. I just had the other guy's armies up. Mr. Chester. I am playing elves. And maybe I've lost my mind on stuff. But so I'm playing a walking autarch. The guy gives me a CP. You're playing Eldar. They've got good strats. You need a CP. You need to be generating extra CP. Has to be happening. Death Jester with Fate's Messenger. That guy's a nut. The fact that Fate's Messenger can flip one of your dice every turn to a 6. He's got built-in devs, but he's also got a gun that's sustained 3. So, this guy is just putting out real things. He can also do precision. So, good time. Fugin's still a badass. Dude's got a Melta 6 gun, and he gets back up on a 2-up. He's got 6 attacks that are strength 5 with 3 damage. The dude doesn't fuck around. Kayron, I still love Karandras. I think he should be just a little bit more juiced up, but he's nice with these units of Scorpions I have. I'm running 3 Falcons, and those 3 Falcons typically get 3 Fire Dragons. So the Falcons can deep strike, so I'm looking to do rapid ingresses and or just deep strikes on your turn to try to get, surgically strike things with big damage. 2 units of Hornets, just so I can have more Bright Lances, because Bright Lances are my friend. Then I've got 2 units of Shroud Runners, because I needed a little bit of volume. Also, they have Scout. And one of the biggest things in this army is I've got a shit ton of things that either forward deploy or scout. So I can pick different boards. Because a lot of the boards, when you're deployment zone, some of the boards are a little wonky. But if you can scout and or start forward deploying outside of that area, you can get into the perfect spots so that you can hide a little bit better. Some of the boards are just really, really good. Where do you find a Hornet? We had them from a million years ago. But Shroud Runners put up a volume of shots. They scout. They have big bases, and they move all over the place. I got 2 units of Striking Scorpions. They're just my forward deployers. They're basically, for me, I feel like they're just better than Rangers because they can punch you. And they do dev wounds. So it's a real thing on that. They have a volume of attacks. 1 unit of Hawks. They just do secondaries so well. They can jump up and leave in your opponent's phase and just keep coming back. And then Warwalkers are still just fantastic, man. 2 Bright Lances. You got to remember that Eldar are rerolling 1 hit and 1 wound. 2 Bright Lances on a T7 vehicle that's -1 to wound in shooting and has a 4-up invuln. I mean, that guy's just good. So I'm looking to not play Horde pretty much, and I can play into anything else. I've got just a shit ton of AP between the 3 units of Fire Dragons with getting full rerolls from the Falcon. The Falcon's got 3 pulse lasers and a Bright Lance and a cannon. And then I've got, all the Bright Lances. The Warwalkers and the Hornets all have 2 Bright Lances apiece. And the army's just fast. So, like I said, I'd like to see the ability for me to go back to a way heavier Aspect Warrior. But I wanted to run a little bit. That's why I'm running triple Fire Dragons, double Scorpions, Swooping Hawks. I just wanted to play more Eldar. So I brought a shit ton of Aspect Warriors. Oh, fuck that, man. I just don't enjoy IG. I like my sci-fi fantasy stuff to be wacky, and I don't want to play me. I just want to play a fantasy elf or a demon prince and stuff like that. That's the things that I jam on. So, well, here's the deal with it, Eric. On this, the reason everything that I took, I refused to take any of the units that got hit with point nerfs over the course of time, because I think they really suffered in a lot of the units that they're still really good. Like warp spiders are fantastic. They move 1,000,000 inches. They've got flamers. They're really great. They're 125 points, man. That's 6 wounds for 125 points under T3. Those guys disintegrate. You be carrying a shovel and breaks the lore. But like I took everything that still I felt had really good value. Striking Scorpions is 65, the 4 deploy. They got 4 attacks apiece. They also have Scorpion's Claw with it. You know, they can pick up trash units every time. They can obviously screen out your opponent. Warwalker's still at a good cost. You know, there's a lot of things that are just still well costed here. I think the things that could hit some of Eldar got hit too hard in points, and I just keep not playing them. I am going to the Champs Cup. This is my Champs Cup army. This is my Champs Cup team army. So, exactly. You know, if people can just nickel and dime them, and again, it's a 1 wound model. So, weirdly enough, IG does have a lot of stuff that I really like. I just don't like their lore, because they have like so much. I really think that I could make like a bananas trash IG list, because they have a lot of shenanigans with their stuff too. I'll be there, brother. I'm looking forward to it. Not looking forward to getting there, but I'm looking forward to the tournament on that. So we've got a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, I like playing this. I also just like playing Eldar. So like the thing is in the end, you don't want to play shit you don't like. I don't care how good it is. If you're playing the world's most devastating army and everything else, just you're not having fun with it. Like, dude, we're playing with toy soldiers, so it's just, you know, I like playing this. Is it the best thing out there? No, this is mid-tier at best. I just thought it had a fit in our team, and with what was left for me to take after everybody else had an army, and I like playing Eldar, so I'm gonna have fun, and I think that the army will do fine. So hopefully, I must be the best at toys. How else will I feel special? It's a big thing, though. Like, you know, it's just you really, really have to enjoy what you're doing, because at the end of the day, if you talk to somebody and you try to explain why you're upset, you have to start with, I was playing my toy soldiers with another adult. Here's why I'm mad. It's like, play something you like. That, you know, and that's why I love teams so much, is it's a team structure. You're playing for and with everybody, so you just have a great time. Also, you can play stuff that has weaknesses, because you can really lean into the strength of the armies, and that's one of the things I really like about the teams. So, but this is also here. I'll tell you guys what we're playing. Give me a second here. Let's scroll down. So we're playing against Miami Dice, and they've got a tough comp on this, man. They're bringing Death Guard, Thousand Suns, IG, Blood Angels, Grey Knights, Drakari. It's a super, like a ton of vehicle Drakari. League of Votan, and Tim's bringing his World Leaders. They hit. Let me pull up this IG list. I actually think this thing's gross. Give me a second. There we go. This IG list has teeth, man. So we got Lord Solar, we've got a Tempestuous Command Squad, Platoon Command Squad, Double Tank Commander, 4 Quad Michigan Jungle Fighters, 1 Infantry Squad, 2 Chimeras, a Hellhound, which is always devastating for those of us that play Orcs and Elves, a Lehman Russ Exterminator, double Rogel Dorn, and then he's got the 10-man Scions and the 5-man Scions, and you can join that command to him. Dude, that unit can drop down and deep strike on you and just do some, like, holy shit damage. And in teams, I can only imagine that they're going to defend with this, because this list, picking a table that's more open, can just do some work. But also, with that many infantry squads, you know, they've got the 4 Catechins and the regular infantry squad, plus the Scions and stuff dropping down. This army can really play the game. It's hard. They can screen things out. It's a lot of bodies. They can just put people on objectives over and over and over again. You know, they can drive a Chimera up with a unit inside. You build a Chimera up. Good to hear. Drop all the guys on the objective. It's legit, man. This list is terrifying to me. It's just, they've got damage, but they've got enough trash. Because one of the things that, like, it feels like a lot of time right now with Guard is I see these like super heavy tank armies, but they just start getting touched. You know, they have one bad turn and they get touched. This army's got scoring for days, screening for days, and damage. It's terrifying. I think this is a fantastic list. It's the thing that I'm by far the most afraid of in their team. I think it's gross. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's crazy. It's just, they just have damage. I love armies I love lists that have the ability to play the game, and this army has the ability to play the game. And even if shit goes wrong, he can still just score a shit ton of points. He easily takes any secondaries. He can score a shit ton of points. Just make shit happen. So, like, I just really like this army. Hold on, because I got to shamelessly promote myself. The 40K Lorecast. We just hit 1 million downloads for the year. Really excited. We also just hit 1,000 people on our Discord. And I'm going to put a link, ka-ching, for everybody. Discord's really picking up. I've really been enjoying it. There's tons of great conversations. And I'm super excited to do it. I love the lore. So I love doing the Lorecast. It's my favorite thing I do. It's a good time. It's family-friendly good times for everyone. Huzzah! Yes, Eloise listening to me. See? And we're getting into Space Marine. Oh, everybody, I haven't got a chance to play it yet, but I've seen a lot of clips of Space Marine 2. Obviously, the animations, the promos for the game. But the in-game play looks pretty badass. I don't know if anybody's playing it yet. Tell me what you think about it. Hold on. Man, I'm coming on the $5 super chat. Go Orange! So we gotta change this up. But that game looks fantastic, so I'd like to see what people think about that. Syracuse. So now I look at you with Tennessee immediately. He's like, no! Everybody died. I sent an invitation to everybody on before I went live. I did the Monday group. I rang everybody twice. Everybody ignored me, so I went YOLO solo. I like the sound of my own voice anyway, so I figured I could handle going for about an hour before I fall off the planet. But yeah, exactly, poor Eldar. Yeah. But yeah, this is what I'm playing. I like it. Click. There's Brad's list. Brad Chester. Eldari. I didn't even need the whole 2,000 points. I went with 1995. Yeah, last week you were air oil charge, but I was not doing well last week, brothers. I was not doing well. We also had the holiday. I didn't think anybody'd be around for it. We were not. What changes when I make for singles? I need more volume, probably. I really like this. I'm gonna give Cullen Burns props. I played him at Salt City, and he was playing something very similar, and it basically reignited my fire for Eldar. So props to you, brother. I liked playing against it. I just like the shenanigans. Again, I want to play more Aspect Warriors and shit. I love deep striking. I like the ability to be everywhere on the board, just being fast. So I really enjoyed that. Singles wise, I don't know. I really focused this up for the teams, but I don't know if I change a ton. I just know that I need a little more volume. I think I have enough trash. I'm not 100% sold on the Shroud Runners, to be perfectly honest with you, but they're only 80 points. And they have a shit ton of shots. And they're really fast. So I started with playing Harlequin unit coming out of a Falcon. They just didn't like it enough. I miss the Twilight Harlequins running the big 12-man unit with a Troop Master and stuff. I kind of wish they hadn't. So, yeah, he had 100%. He turned me on to this. You know what I mean? I've played similar, but not, like, I really went down different. He's taking Wraith Knights, or not like Wraith Knights. He was taking Wraith Lords. I really wish the Wraith, I mean, the Wraith Lords hitting on a 4 and not a 3 is actually a big deal. It's not a huge thing, but it does over the course of a game just really add up. I love Harlequins. They're up in Canada. Still Frosty and we are up in Nova Scotia. So get your map out and go really far north and east, and that's where they are. Well, everybody, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I'm glad everybody was active and hanging, because I obviously was running YOLO solo this evening. So let's get us back before we leave. I want to get us back just chilling out at the campfire here. Chilling at the campfire, doing stuff and things. Yeah, it's 100% cold as fuck. Yeah, exactly. Wraith Lords are scary models until they actually shoot or fight. I wish Solitaire was a little bit nastier. It's the 3 wounds and stuff. So, that being said, everybody, thanks for hanging with me. And I will see you this Thursday, where I have a lot of random stuff I'm going to bring Thursday. It's going to be awesome. We're going to talk a lot of modeling. So, I will see you then. Thank you so much. Anna, thanks again for having us. I gave you props at the beginning. I'm going to give you props at the end, because I love the tournament. You take care of everybody that comes. If you get a chance to go up to Montague, it's fantastic. It's a beautiful place. I have a great time. I've had a great time every time I've come up there. I had just a fantastic time this time. So props out to you. So on that, thank you so much.